one night where I was so confident that I was going to get an offer from this other real estate company that I actually rejected my offer from the original one. And I said, look, I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm expecting another offer from another company. Just hear that they've got a better reputation. So I'm going to go with them and go reject their offer. In one night, I woke up and I basically got rejected from the company that I was hoping to go with. And I was like, now I've been rejected from both. I rejected myself from one. I've been rejected from one. I have no more offers coming from Dubai. And like, you get so excited about this new journey and chapter. And I think I've literally put my foot in both of them.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chatzzz. This is going to be episode 8. So, my first female guest.
Hello.
Everyone, welcome Alice to the podcast. Be nice, everyone in the comments. Sophia, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
We were meant to meet up in the mall, weren't we, late today?
Yeah.
And I just sent you a voice message. I was like, Alice, do you want to do a podcast with me, please? And she doesn't know what she's getting into. So, yeah, it's cool. You've been prepped. You know what to start with?
Kind of. Sort of.
3 facts about yourself. Go for it.
The pressure now. I'd say the one that I always whap out is, I'm from Scotland. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. Some people would say it's not very Scottish, but there you go. So I was actually born in Africa in a place called Zimbabwe. Mm-hmm. So I think that's quite interesting. My parents at the time, they were doing work over there. So me and my sister, they were there actually for 4 years. But by the time I was born, I maybe lived there till I was like maybe 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And then we moved back to the UK. So
have you got a Zimbabwe passport then?
Yeah. So on my passport it says I was born in Zimbabwe. And interestingly, so when I applied to go to uni, a load of the universities, like 3 or 4 of them, came back to me and was like, they needed records of exactly like my nationality and like to confirm it. Mm-hmm. Because I think they thought I was Zimbabwean or something. But yeah.
Just left hand.
Yeah. But no, so that's probably, I don't know, the most interesting
That's
fact.
quite interesting. Yeah, because one of mine, I would say, sorry to jump in, is I was born in America. So I've got an American passport.
Oh, okay.
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. So I've got dual nationality as well. So it's a cool fact.
Yeah. I don't have the dual nationality. I'm still very British. Yeah.
Oh. I'm technically British because mum and dad are British, but if I want to, I can use that. So yeah, sorry, second fact.
Second one. So my love of my life, my wee baby, is my dog. His name is Baba, and he has absolutely basically no fur. He's a hairless dog, and yeah, he's so cute. You've seen him.
I've met him. Yeah. He was cute. Like we walked him around talking time.
Yeah. I don't think many people have hairless dogs, so I think that's quite a fun fact.
What made you pick him then?
So I don't know if you could call it my next fact, but obviously I had a chocolate business for a little while, and so I had my chocolate business. I was back basically in Longtown near Carlisle, and for having like a commercial kitchen and having a dog, even though obviously he wasn't in the kitchen, I think you know how it is when you have a dog and the hairs get everywhere and then you're jumping to the kitchen. It's just not good. So that was like a big factor. And the other thing is, so we have a lab at home as well, a family dog called Kiki, and I think every time that you pet him, he's always like just a little bit greasy, and he's just like, oh, I just would prefer it if it didn't have any hair. So that's really the reasons. Nothing really too
simple, but obviously practical because if you had the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So I want to speak about like what you're like growing up. It's always interesting to see what you're like maybe at like primary school and stuff. So what was you like as like a little kid?
That's such a good question. I feel like no one knows what they're like when they're little kids. Yeah. I think, let me think, when I was at primary
Put you on the spot here.
I know. So when I was growing up, I loved gymnastics. I did a lot of gymnastics. Through primary school. So I was probably quite athletic. I was quite quiet. I was really shy actually. I had my group of friends that I hung around with, and I drifted from this group and that group. And I think I was very, I think you probably look back at now, I was quite determined what I wanted to do. But I think, like, to a lot of people, I was probably quite an introvert, very, very quiet. Didn't really speak too much. I wasn't a naughty girl at school.
You just enjoyed doing your thing. You
Yeah,
just had your
yeah.
thing. You did it quite single-minded, would you say?
Yeah, 100%. And then I really enjoyed at high school, what I was good at was like arts and like crafts and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think I was very much like, that's what I wanted to do. And then when I had to make a decision, as everyone does when you're 17, you're leaving school and what to do, I actually looked at my grades. English was one of the worst subjects. And in my head, I always thought to do anything, like to go to uni or do something, that you have to have at least an English degree. And that was something I was terrible at. So I convinced myself that I needed to go to art school because that's what I was good at.
Yeah.
So ended up going to art school for a year and hated it. Thought it was too artsy for me. And then actually transferred into the business school from there. And yeah, then I did a marketing degree.
Oh, very interesting. So at school, though, just slightly back, would you say at school, at primary school, you said you were quite like introverted, you just did your own thing in gymnastics and that.
Yeah.
So then obviously when you go to secondary school, that's kind of like when you start figuring who you are as a person and stuff, isn't it? So what would you say like secondary school was like? Did you enjoy like the school aspect, the educational side, or was it more like the activities like the PE, the gymnastics, or what would you kind of say, or the social aspect? It's like meeting friends and going out and stuff.
Yeah, do you know what? I would say I've definitely flourished as a person after school.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, at primary school, everyone's like, you're at that age and you're just like going along with the flow. And then in secondary school, so the school I went to was so small. There was like 300 people in the whole school. Yeah, I think there was like, we had the smallest class. There was like 30 of us. It was so tiny. So, I mean, yeah, I think part of that and being in the countryside, and I always felt like I enjoyed being at school, kinda, but I always felt in the back of my head, probably beyond the age of 12, I was on for bigger and better things. So I was just waiting till I got to that stage. And I think I was so ambitious when you got to like 14, 15, when like everyone's applying to uni. My biggest thing was, get me out of here. I'm done with the country life. I'm on to bigger things. So I think that, like, yeah, probably at school I was still quite introverted, quite quiet. But I think, yeah, I was silently confident that I had other things that I wanted to get on with.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people have the small town mindset, don't they? Where say they'll grow up in like one kind of place, like for example, Carlisle, that's like near where we're from.
Yeah.
And they'll like go to school, whatever, go sixth form if they do, and then just get a job there, live there all their life, get the house, the kids, the dog, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just like comfortable being comfortable, and they'll never like move away. And that's where I always say that you kind of grow as a person, don't you? If you move away, even if it's for 3-6 months, whatever, and then you can kind of like progress because you meet new people, you have new experiences, put yourself out your comfort zone, and yeah. So obviously you wanted that for yourself. Where do you think you got that from?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I would say either my mum or dad, but I'd say my mum and my dad are polar opposites people. My mum is quite fiery, so she says what she wants, and my dad is very, very like, he's a quiet guy, but he is super, super like clever, and he's got the 5-year action plan together. So probably a mixture of both. Yeah. But maybe actually considering that they went off to Africa and did their own sort of adventures, that probably had a bit of ambition in me to like, yeah, move out and do my own thing. And I think they've done a lot with their lives, and then I think I resented them a little bit because I was like, why are we living in the middle of nowhere where nothing happens? And yet you can tell all these cool stories of meeting giraffes and elephants, and we're stuck here. So yeah, that probably had a bit of an impact. But
I can completely relate to that because that's what my mum and dad did. You know what I mean? Yeah. My dad moved to Paris in France from England when they finished uni, and then moved to America, and that's obviously where I was born, and he travelled a lot. And then they moved back to Paris, and then moved back to like Carlisle, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how have you ended up here? Out of all the places you've been, just like, what the fuck? But yeah, I think parents have a big impact, don't they?
Yeah.
On like
No, 100%.
like your nurture. Is that the right word? Your nurture over the time. Or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah,
You
I
know
think
what I mean?
so. I'm not sure.
You're
Maybe.
just going along with it. But yeah, so you say that, and then so art school. Then why art school? Just because you were good at art, or did you not just want to go straight to university and do like a different kind of degree? Or
Yeah, so when I was choosing my degrees, I was very much still going to the art school, which was like 5 hours away from my hometown. So it was like as far as you can get
yeah,
on the map of Scotland, really. Yeah, I think people always ask you, and I feel like it's such a. If I ever had kids, I think that's the one thing, like you get to the age of 17, 18, and there's such a big pressure of you to understand what you want to do. And I just looked at what I was good at, and then I thought, right, well, that's obviously what I've got to do. So, yeah, that's kind of what pushed me into it. And then when I got there, it was just, it wasn't me at all. It was so artsy. I remember going into class one time and we did a walk. So we were all in the group together. So I was doing 3D design. You with like what would you call it? I don't know. Fine art people, everyone.
yeah,
And the class went through and the teacher in front was like, right, we're going to go through a whole walk of the art school, and I need you to draw the emotion in the room. I was like, don't draw the room. You've got your notepad and pencil. Don't draw the room, draw the emotion. And I remember thinking, what am I doing here? Get me out. So yeah, it was a bit of a mix of that. And yeah, I think now you can reflect on where you are now and how far you've came. And obviously now that I do recruitment, it's wildly different to firstly the art school, then obviously going into public relations, marketing degree, obviously then doing my chocolate business for a little bit, and now it's wildly different. But I think you have to go through each process to know a little bit about what you want to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. But so what did you expect then when you went to the art school?
I was expecting maybe a little bit more structure. It is very much, my experience was very much the like art schools you see on TV where you've got like people with crazy hair and dungarees and like just wacky like
I could see you in dungarees.
things.
Like crazy hair.
I mean, yeah, maybe I went through a vibe of it. But, no, yeah, I think it was just, yeah, I'm not really too sure what it was about the art school, but it was just so artsy.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could see the future in art for me. So that was kind of the resulting factor.
So you made the change then. And then how did that impact then your life moving forward?
It gave me a lot more confidence. So basically, it's quite a long story. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, but
you're the guest on the podcast. That's the point of the podcast.
Well, yeah. So yeah, basically, how I mentioned before, at school, I was terrible at English. Couldn't do it to save my life. Failed twice. And that really knocked my confidence on being able to actually go to uni and do like normal things. And then I was in the car with some other girl who was doing a course in PR. And she was talking about this course that she was doing, a lot of group work. They worked on Photoshop, which was something that we did at the art school. And these other sort of cool, kind of marketing type things. And I was like, hey, do you know that sounds really cool? I think I would quite like to do something like that. And I remember phoning up both my granddad at the time and my mum, and I says, I think I'm going to switch courses. I'm going to try and get into the business school because it's a lot easier, I reckon, when you're already in the facility. So I went to a place called Robert Gordon. So they're connected, the art school and the business school. And I remember phoning them both up and they were like, Alice, what are you doing? Do you know what PR is? Obviously, it's like a completely English-based course. I was like, you know that your strengths are in English. And I was like, yeah, no, but I feel like it would be a great course because it would make me understand it more and blah, blah, blah. And they were all very shocked. All my family were very shocked when I wanted to make the move. And but I did it anyways. And I wrote a letter. I had to write a letter of why I wanted to switch. So I wrote a very good letter. And yeah, then they just let me do it. So then I think after that, I was like, right, do you know what? I've got the confidence, got the ambition. They've obviously let me in for some reason. So I'm just going to really like try hard. And it was a perfect course for me. You know, it is a lot of like structure in the course. I think there's a lot of more how to transfer that into sort of real life, etc., which I really enjoyed. So I was studying there. That course was 4 years, so another 4 years, and it was great. Really, really enjoyed it. But obviously, I'm still not a great English person. So when I left, I think for me, especially English and like a little bit of dyslexia, probably. So my spelling's not great. And obviously, when you're writing press releases and different things, you don't really want someone in there who can't spell. So yeah, I thought it was a great course, loved it, graduated, but then I thought it's not for me. So that's kind of the story.
Yeah.
How we led into that.
So what would you say the flip of the switch was to give you that confidence when you changed the course?
I think, as you say, just life as it happens. I think going from, like, I remember I do a lot of reflecting on my life, and I'm always impressed by what I feel that I've achieved. And I feel like I remember thinking and just being so proud of myself for making that switch, because if I'd looked at myself when I got into my first year of PR and I was actually doing all right, and I think if I looked at myself at 17 years old at school and thought, oh, hey, you're going to be in an actual university studying a business school, I thought, you're crazy. But there I was. And yeah, I think just having that, like, living life, being away from home, doing grown-up stuff, I think you just get the confidence and you realise, like, just baby steps, that ambitions aren't that hard to achieve.
I think when you set goals, people always set like the end goal, don't they?
Yeah.
And they think, if I don't achieve that in a short period of time, then they're a failure. But like you say, if you set the attainable milestones to achieve in the way, then you'll be able to achieve the goal a lot easier and a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It's just quite, I don't know, people just in the mindset, aren't they? Social media and stuff these days. Instagram, you think, oh, I can earn 100 grand a year next week, but really they don't want to put the work in. And that's the difficult part that people don't want to do. But it's the way of the world, isn't it? Really. So finish uni.
Yeah.
And what was the plan of action after that?
So I think you were going to speak about this, but it ties in quite nicely. So when I was in my final year of uni, I was onboarded onto this program. Obviously, I had to apply, and it was basically essentially a program for startups, accelerator startup. And we had some guy came into our lecture and was like, if anyone's got a good idea, brilliant idea, we will help you. We'll put you through this incubation startup, and we'll really help you do it. And at the time, I was sugar-free crazy. I thought sugar-free was the way to go. So that was my, like, I don't know what we used to call it, but yeah, it was what I was fixated on at the time. And I thought, this is brilliant. There's no sugar-free sweets that taste nice at the moment. And I feel like, for me, it's a big topic, but yeah, I love to be sugar-free, but I didn't want to not eat sweeties and sugar, but I just didn't want the sugar part of it. So it wasn't like super, super healthy, like no sugar at all. We can eat porridge and muesli and bread for the rest of your life. Like I wanted to eat like normal, like bakery things, but I just didn't want the sugar. So that was my main thing. I was like, right, this is it, this brilliant idea. I'm going to take it to this guy and hopefully he'll let me on this course. And yeah, at the time, I think I made them for like a little sample. I made some sugar-free marshmallows, which honestly looked like a gloopy mess on the table. And I made them something else, and I can't remember. I think it was chocolate. Yeah. And the chocolate looked a bit skeptical too. I didn't even have the right tactic. I think I was using cocoa powder, a little bit of butter, and something else. And I thought, yeah. So I brought them my little samples, and I was like, this is my brilliant idea. I think it'll be great. It's this new trend. Everyone's going to love it. And anyways, they actually did let me onto the program, surprisingly.
How did you manage that?
But they did say, you know, to be fair to me, I actually did really well in the program. I got a lot of funding from it. But they always loved to tell my story of when I came in on the first day with my little crumbly samples. And I think the two of them that I brought into were like, we honestly did not know what was going to go on here. But yeah, so the program I think was maybe 4 months, and it was fantastic. You know, you're in a room. It was like night school classes, weekend classes, telling you a lot more about sort of business structure, business plans, how to really sort of do that startup side, which was fantastic. And it was so good to be with other people, obviously in the similar boats. A lot of them had better, I wouldn't say better ideas, but a lot more progressed ideas. Some of them had like super apps. So obviously in Aberdeen, so a few people had like things to do with the oil. Just absolutely amazing what people can come up with, and seeing everyone progress was fantastic. And there was me obviously trying and testing my recipes. And so it was really, really exciting. Loved doing that. So then by the time I graduated was obviously July time, and the business was pretty much ready to go. I think then obviously moving back home, save money, living the startup life. And I had a little kitchen that I was working from. And yeah, I think it was like, it would have been maybe late October time that the actual business started up and got everything running and started, selling, really for sure, selling the chocolate. So
how did it feel then when you launched the business?
it was so exciting. It's one of the best, it is one of the best feelings you have. I think when you have this tiny little idea and then you go through the process, and I think being in that incubation program, and I think what I don't think is really talked about too much is when you have so much support around you and being with like-minded people. And I mean, imagine if I had to do that without the incubation program, and you're trying to do an idea and you hear about people with theirs and not having that support and just having people think, oh, they're doing something a bit crazy, then I just wonder how they do it. But yeah, it was fantastic having so much support, and it was the best feeling in the world. And you think, this is my little baby, and you just grow it into something that's actually real. So it was fantastic. Really, really enjoyed the whole process of getting it sorted. Obviously now, as you know, I don't do the chocolate anymore. So that went on for 2 years. I don't know if you want to hear the story of what happened.
Yeah, I want to talk. No, at all. I was going to say, what made you want to do the business to start off with? Because I know, I don't really know that many girls/women who want to own their own business or want to do business. So what was do you think the spark that wanted you to do it in the first place and apply for the course and develop it? And then obviously when you finish uni, you could have applied for a job, but you decided to pursue that further.
Yeah.
So what was the driving force, would you say?
That's such a good question.
I'm full of them today.
I think it probably all ties into sort of talking about kind of who you are as a person and how you grew up. And I think especially throughout my teenage years, I always had a good business plan.
Yeah.
It never materialized, but I could tell you what the good business plan was. And it would be every month I'd have a new good one of how I was going to make my millions. And it just so happened at the time that the guy came through and asked. I was obsessed with sugar-free. So I think in my head I was like, bam, perfect, get me on that program. But then when again, obviously telling my mum about this thing that I'd done, she was like, honestly, Alice, you were destined to have your own business from a child. She said she could see it, but she was always like, you will always be an entrepreneur. So I think that gives you a little bit of confidence. But then I think as a child, I think as much as I went with the flow, I think I always had an ambition of where I wanted to be. Maybe not really sort of far down the line, but I think having that sort of independence from a small age. And I think if my mother asked me what trait I would be, I think independence would be up there as one of the top traits. So she was like, I can never really see you working for someone. I feel like you've always been someone who would have their own business. So I think that really I think maybe, I don't know, if your mum tells you something, then you feel like it's true, or that she was obviously onto something. But yeah, I think, it's a bit of both really, but
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It's like you were saying when you were younger, you kind of like did your own thing no matter what. You kind of like tunnel vision and stuff. But you're maybe a bit introverted, but you still had your friends. But yeah, you can see like qualities from the younger coming out more and more when you get older, can't you? And then just
100%.
develop them.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe you just choose to develop other ones than other ones. And then like everything kind of aligns into one, doesn't it? Which is quite cool. It's like when I was younger, I always just did my own thing. I didn't like really care what people thought.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to do something, I'd do it. No matter what, and I'd just try it. And if I didn't like it, then I didn't like it, but at least I knew. And just going back to like the support network that you had, I think that's so important, because when I started my first businesses, I had a business partner. So we went in together. Like I didn't have a clue what I was doing. You know what I mean? We just said, oh, we're just going to run events. God knows how to do it. I'd done it at uni and stuff, but obviously it's for a company. And then we just thought, oh, right, we can do it ourselves. And then it was just like, you obviously had the uni support and your pupils, your students, whatever, your other people that you're friends with. And then we were just like two 22-year-old boys, absolutely clueless going into the world, thinking, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But then obviously over time, you make your mistakes, don't you? You learn your lessons. And then now on my own, I've made that because I've had the spot. I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think I would be able to have done it on my own to start off with.
Yeah.
Because it's quite lonely sometimes. And like, obviously it's quite mentally tough. But when you've got someone that is in it with you, same situation, nobody else, if I was trying to explain it to, say, I don't know, my mum or my friends, whatever, they're not in it with you, where someone else is in it with you. So we could relate to the same experiences, we'd share the same emotions and stuff, which is quite good. But now it's just a lot easier to just do it on my own, I think. But that's just my opinion anyway.
But now you've done it one time, so you feel like you've got it now.
Yeah.
You know the program.
But at the end of the day, I'm just winging it. I don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing. I think I do, but you learn things every day. So yeah, so you launched the business in October then.
Yeah.
Then what was like the journey from there?
So the journey from there, it was good. Obviously, once you've launched, I think that whole adrenaline of actually getting there was so exciting. And then there's like a lot of contributing factors. You then have to move home and you're living the startup life. And it's a real slog at the start, trying to get it off the ground. So mine, obviously, I didn't have a physical store, but it was like online sales. And most of my revenue actually came from farmers markets, summer markets, and obviously Christmas markets. So it was managing both your time to make the chocolate. I was doing everything myself. So I was making the chocolate, packaging the chocolate, selling the chocolate, and trying to do the marketing and keep the online sort of presence going. So it was a lot. And I think for me, well, for anyone in the chocolate business, it takes about 2 days to actually make the bar from start to finish. So that's a process in its own. And then for like to actually temper the chocolate, so to get it to the right temperature that it like stays where it's supposed to be, it's another mission of a project. So it is a long process, and I think you're going through the turmoil of doing that, booking your farmers markets, and trying to get the business off the ground. It was very much like a strong slog of how it was going. And I think in general, I think you definitely, if you could take from day one of selling chocolate to when it finished, which was two years after, I think you could definitely see the progress. And I was definitely doing things in the right direction. But I think when we talk about why I don't do it now, is it wasn't a great business model. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the overall business model wasn't great. For me, a lot of the money coming in was through farmers markets, Christmas markets, and if it had been at a different time, I think would be different. But my first Christmas obviously was chaotic. I just started in October, had a few like good Christmases, this and that, and then for chocolate, obviously you have 2 seasons. So you have basically Valentine's and Christmas, where everyone's buy chocolate. So then you go through the year and you're going through speaking to different like small retailers, and then it got to my second Christmas, which was for me the make or break Christmas.
Yeah.
And I was like motivated to make this Christmas work. So I had booked from start of November all the way to end of December. All my weekends, most of the weeks, were just fully booked with Christmas markets. And it was October time, I think, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Boris Johnson just decided that there was going to be no Christmas markets. So there was... Obviously, there's almost 2 years of process going into this, but this is like the shortened version. And then I think at that point, that was October, not last year, but
2021?
yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah.
And yeah, I think I really had to sit down and say, if I don't go to any of my Christmas markets, can this business stay afloat for another year? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I think the sensible decision was, I probably could have kept it going and tried it out. But for me, that was when I made the decision, you need to sort of take yourself out of the situation, sort of, gather your thoughts and decide what you really want to do. So that was October. A month later, I was on a plane here in Dubai.
Yeah, it's so random, isn't it? Because I think, like you say, the launch is the easy part, isn't it? It's the exciting part. Is really adrenaline filling, and then you do that, and that's when the hard work starts, and that's why lots of people launch things and don't follow through, because that's when the boring bit is, that people don't want to put the work in.
100%.
But yeah, I remember, because we messaged on Instagram, weren't we? And I was going to go on that TV show. Then that like pied off, and then you literally next month whatever went to Dubai. So how did that come about? Because I know you had a bad experience to start off with.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
You must have been like all over the place. Like, do you want to just carry on doing the chocolate because that's your baby? You want to like obviously make it grow, but maybe the logical thing was to start fresh, and you had this opportunity, but then that fucked up, and then. You explain it, not me.
Yeah, no, so I was messaging Adam at the time telling him about me going to Dubai, which honestly I actually forgotten about that story, but it's quite funny. So yeah, obviously this is getting to November time. I had applied to a real estate company job here in Dubai. The real estate business over here is so sketchy anyways. It was a bad decision, but it got me here in the first place, so I can't complain. But yeah, so I had my heart set on going to do real estate here, and applied to a role, seemed fine, legit. Reached out to another girl who I knew actually from uni who's over here. Turned out she was working in real estate as well, and she sent me a message. She said, look, the company that you're working for doesn't have a very good reputation. She said, if I was you, I would look for a better one. But let me speak to the guys who I work for, and they'll speak to you and have a couple of interviews, this and that. So I thought, okay, perfect. So I went through in about a week, probably 5 or 6 different interviews with different people from different companies. I was still doing my final interview with the company originally. They then gave me an offer to work here in Dubai. Obviously hearing that it wasn't a great company, done 3 or 4 interviews with this other girl's company, and they got to a point, and I can't actually remember what happened, but there was like one night where I was so confident that I was going to get an offer from this other real estate company that I actually rejected my offer from the original one. And I said, look, I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm expecting another offer from another company. Just hear that they've got a better reputation, so I'm going to go with them and reject their offer. In one night, I woke up and I basically got rejected from the company that I was hoping to go with. And I was like, now I've been rejected from both. I rejected myself from one. I've been rejected from one. I have no more offers coming from Dubai. And like, you get so excited about this new journey and chapter. And I think I've literally put my foot in both of them. And so I had to put my tail between my legs, and I messaged my original company. I said, will you please hire me back? And luckily they said yes. So
oh, that's so funny. So what happened then? How quick was the process then to get the flight over and move over?
It was super quick. It was like 3 weeks, I think, 3-4 weeks. It was, the biggest part was obviously I had this apartment that the chocolate was being made in. I had all my chocolate materials, everything. So I really had to gut the whole place. Luckily, my parents have some storage space. So a lot of the stuff, I mean, I don't think they were very happy about it, but went there. And it was super, super quick. It was like trying to organize, wrap up the business, do what I needed to do on that side, try and get things sorted from this side. Obviously, packing to try and go here over to Dubai. Really, really exciting. Loved it. Got here in November expecting to go home at Christmas. So I thought it'll be fine. I'll get the last bits or whatever I need when I go back. And then obviously got caught up here in COVID times. So there was no flights open over Christmas. So I couldn't get home. So I stuck here. And the business that I originally went for that had the bad reputation did end up having a bad reputation. So I was only at that company for a month and got into a better company, still in real estate, a really good one actually here, but it was terrible. It's still shocking. The real estate business here is crazy. And then through a friend who worked for a company called Candor, which is where I work for now. They do recruiting. It was like, come on, just come for an interview, chat to the guys here. So that was back in April now, almost a year. And that's really how I got into recruiting. So that's what I do now.
How was the transition from having your own business to moving out to Dubai? How did you feel?
Good and bad. I think do you know what I felt actually thinking about it now? I felt more guilty, and you shouldn't really feel like this. I felt more guilty for what other people thought. And I thought, oh, everyone's going to think I failed. Everyone's going to think, why have you not just like, you're doing so well, this and that. And I think a lot of people think I was just giving up for maybe not a sensible reason to then have a new life in Dubai. And that really played with me a lot. And I think that really like torn me to making the decision. And I think when I really think about what I wanted to do, it was right for me to step out of the business at that point. And I feel like I would have caused myself more agony if I'd stayed in. And I feel like it would have been easy to stay in because it would have been easier not to sort of say anything to anyone and really sort of try and make it work. And I feel like that would have been the wrong reason to stay in a business for what other people thought.
I think it's quite a cool decision to make, isn't it? Like, kind of just like drop your ego, don't you? You just make the decision what's right rather than what people think. Yeah,
and I think it's quite nice talking actually, because you forget that you felt these things at the time. But no, so that was interesting, and I think when I came out here again, I was obviously we'd gone through COVID, and I think a lot of people were a bit depressed with living back in their hometowns. And I think for me, there was so much of being at uni, having that exciting, that you had friends all around all the time, and then coming back to your hometown, your original friends had all sort of left the home. So I was very much sort of in the house at home alone a lot of the time and just focusing on business and really didn't have too much of a social life. So I think the dramatic difference of changing that and then coming to Dubai, where it's such a social city, is just massive. So that was really cool, and I've really appreciated that about here.
So you got into recruitment then?
Yeah.
So then you got the job, and then why is that so much better than real estate then, in your opinion?
I think the biggest one is there's less pressure. I think real estate here is such a con of what you can do out here as a career. So you come over here and it sounds a bit crazy, but they don't offer you any salary. So you're in a commission only role, 100% commission. So it's crazy. And the sort of model that they work on is get as many people out here as possible, which you don't realize when you get here. And some people will just run out of savings and they'll have to go home, and some people will do a good job. But considering they're not paying anyone a wage, they don't really have any sort of tangible, so they don't really care. So it's a big sort of wagon wheel of getting people into the country, and you'll know a lot of people here probably started out doing real estate. But yeah, it was a bit crazy. it's very high pressure. I think you're always sort of on your back, sort of trying to make money. But at the end of the day, it's still a sales job and you are working for yourself. It's all your own effort. If you're not putting the effort in, you're not going to see the results. And I think although I'm now employed by someone, it's still very much an independent role. Yeah.
So then how would you describe your role at the moment then?
It's good. I enjoy what I do at the moment. Obviously, again, it's recruitment, so it's another sales role. The company's good. Yeah, I don't really know.
I think the main thing is go for a good reputation company. Don't go for a dodgy one, otherwise you get fucked over.
Yeah, 100%.
So for any, especially girls watching, what like kind of advice would you give to them if they're like ever thinking of, say, either starting a business or moving to a new country to start a new life there? What would you kind of like say to them?
I think just go for it. Obviously, if you've got the ambition, and I think sometimes you have to just stop waiting around. And if you're sat there and you wish you'd done something, or like, if you just feel like, then I think you just need to stop wishing and just start doing. That would be my advice.
Start wishing, start doing. I like that, yeah. Because I feel like so many people will talk about doing stuff.
Yeah.
They'll never actually do it. I'd rather if someone tried something and said what they tried and then say, oh, it didn't work out because of this, or they tried it and it worked out. It's a lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Than talking a good game and it's like no substance behind it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on girls these days with social media as well. Like so much pressure for them to either look like something or to be like something.
Yeah.
So like that advice to them is quite good, I think, because like you say, you just do what you want. Who cares what people think at the end of the day, really?
I think this is the thing with social media is like sometimes it does get a bad reputation and I can see why. But then like I feel like if you sat there, like I know there's probably people from back home that look at my Instagram, obviously living the life on beaches at the weekend and maybe a little bit resentful. And I think you can take it negatively or you can take it positively. And if that's what you want to do, then I think you just need to do it. Instead of, I think, I don't really know.
People who like would resent or be jealous will only do that because they know they couldn't do it themselves.
Yeah.
So they know they couldn't move to a different country with new people, with random people, whoever, to Dubai. They maybe want to do it, but they knew they couldn't in themselves. So that's probably why they resent you for you rather than the actual thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think there's a lot in like mindset as well. I think like I know I look at some people's stories and I think, oh, that is so cool. Like when they're at the Bahamas or Bali, but like honestly, it just makes me want to go there. I'm just so excited to go. Obviously, I mean, we'll see when I can, but yeah.
Is motivation like this trip for me is like motivation because I was like, oh, I'll come for a business trip and come and see what the crack is and stuff. And then like me being here, I'm like, I would quite like to live here, but say like in the winter because it's too hot in the summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like do this in the winter maybe, and then like Budapest in the summer or something because you just go around and everything's like the biggest and the best and like the people are just so like friendly and that.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people say that actually, that they would just come here for the winter, leave the summer behind. It's very hot.
Yeah, it's like 48 degrees or something, isn't it?
It is super hot.
Fuck that. So yeah, that's a bit of motivation for you females out there. So we're on to everyone's favourite part of the podcast. Alice is really looking forward to this bit. So I've prepped her. We've got 3 people messaging in. I don't know why you always message in, but here we are. So the first question, right, it's a girl, so you need to name the girl, anonymous name.
Lindsay,
right, Lindsay's messaged in saying her boyfriend wants to move away for their job and she doesn't want to do a long distance relationship. They've been together for 2 years. What should Lindsay do?
Oh, decisions. You know, I've heard that 101 times, especially here in Dubai, with girls with boyfriends back home or vice versa. Do you want my honest advice?
Honest to the podcast. You can't lie to people at home.
I would say, no, people are different. I know people that make long distance work. But if you don't want long distance to work, then you shouldn't really be in the relationship, surely. You either have to, I think people put jobs first, and maybe if they're putting their job first and that they don't necessarily want you to come to, then yeah, I think maybe just call it quits while you can.
Lindsay, call it quits. But yeah, I think these days though, like maybe they're in different mindsets. Like you were saying, one's maybe the boyfriend's maybe career driven,
Yeah.
and she's maybe just more just like wanting a happy family and stuff. So
Yeah.
people grow apart, don't they? So maybe they at the time they were like peas in a pod, but now they're just like growing apart, like 1% at a time over years and stuff. So Lindsay,
Maybe
Lindsay, pie him off. Right, okay. So second one is gonna be we'll do a boy. So what are we calling this boy?
let's call him Fred.
That's right, Fred. My girlfriend cheated on me, but I still love her. What does he do? Does he stay with her? Does he finish her?
Oh no!
These are juicy questions.
You need to let that one go. I'm sorry. I think that's just a goner. What do you think?
No such thing as a second chance.
I mean, if you're gonna go through, I mean, what are we talking about? Cheating all the way?
Yeah. Well, by the to be fair, we haven't got the gory details, but like you say, I think there's obviously all cheating's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But say like if it was maybe a one night stand drunk, that doesn't mean anything really, realistically. Not like in the cheating thing, but if you're maybe like messaging someone every day and like meeting up and there's feelings involved, that's way worse cheating wise, isn't it? So what would you say? Any of them are worth a second chance at all on that contrast, or would you say bin them off?
I would
completely?
say just let that go.
Yeah.
I would say no, I wouldn't even say if it was a one night stand. Like I know we all get drunk.
Yeah.
But
I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying on the scale of cheating.
yeah, I mean we don't have too many details for that one, so
need to give more details in future. But I think if it's even crossed their mind or they want to cheat, then you shouldn't really be with them anyway. If you want to be single, be single. Like just put them out of the misery. If you think you're gonna hurt the feelings, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna hurt them even more by cheating on them finding out. So just end it now. You know what I mean? Right. Okay. So the last one here is a girl. What are we calling her?
Joanne. Let's call her Joanne.
Joanne and Lindsay. What names today? My boyfriend is giving me the ick. What do I do?
Oh.
I don't know what kind of icky stuff he's doing, but he's giving him the ick. How does she get over that?
I mean, we need some more details here. We're sort of lacking. An ick.
Has a boy ever given you the ick?
Yeah, loads of times.
All right, come on, let's talk about
loads of
your
times.
icks and that you get off boys.
You know what? I feel like you can get icks at different stages. Like, obviously when you're seeing someone and then they do something. And girls do get icks, and I know sometimes guys don't believe it, but I was once dating this guy who only went for 3 dates. And he just did this weird thing with his eyes. Like, they just looked really boggly and, like, didn't really bother me for the first 2 times. And then he was, like, doing this, like, weird eye roll all the time. And I just thought, oh, that's just, no. Like,
was he trying to seduce you with, like, an eye roll or something? Or can you reenact it for the camera?
It was, like, I can't even do it. It was, like when he spoke, and then there was, like, a pause. He'd, like, really open his eyes. And then, like, I was like, what are you doing?
Where did you find that guy?
Honestly, I do not know.
Right, got some more icks that you've had. This is quite funny.
I think as a girl, I just get generally frustrated with things.
Like what though?
Like,
an example.
Oh, this is going to sound bad. So when I was with my ex at the time, we were together for quite a long time. And generally, obviously, as we were together, like I did love the boy. But we had quite a few actually. But he was coming to my apartment, and I don't think I've got OCD, but I had this apartment and I loved it at the time, and I did it all nice. And then he would just sit on the sofa, and I would look at him sometimes and go, you just look uncomfortable in the apartment. I don't know if that's an egg. I used to just get disgruntled. I was like, why are you like, he was like, you know how guys are, they just like stalk around, and I was like, you just look so out of place in this little living room. I was like, if I could just put you up neatly, just like pat you up like that'd be perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes things just happen and I don't really know the reason why. What's your opinion?
I think you're asking me questions now. Anybody else? Should change the podcast host. But yeah, I think, like you say, they develop over time, don't they?
Yeah.
Because say when you first get to know people, you kind of paying attention maybe to them as a person, but then the little things that they do, you notice more over time. So like saying on the third date, you realise that weird eye thing, but you might not have noticed in a couple of times. You trying to like figure each other out. But icks, I don't know. It's just like the standard ones, like manners and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. Or like, for me, when girls, like, if you go on a date with them and they expect you to pay,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
That
You know
is
what I mean?
quite a bad one.
Like, at least offer. Like, offer should be there, even if
Yeah.
you don't. But that's a big one on dates, I think. Another one. I don't really go on that many dates, so it's not like I go on loads of dates. I don't know. I'm trying to think of my exes, what icks they had. I think one for me, it's maybe not an ick, but I like it when a girl has like ambition. So not just, or like a goal.
Yeah.
So maybe say like if you want to live in Dubai, whatever, achieve that and do recruitment and get whatever role. So that might be like a work related one, or maybe it might be like a personal one, like I want to move to Dubai, that thing. So they've got like a focus or a drive. Whereas if say they're just like bobbing along with life, nothing that there's wrong with it.
Yeah.
But like they're just going with the flow and stuff, and they're just happy doing whatever. Like that's sound for them. But for me, I need someone who's like forward thinking.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. I think for me, I quite like ambition too. And I think I like someone that can hold a conversation. And if I had to look at all my dating life, which is not big, but I feel like I always have, for some reason, I'm not like saying it's kudos to me, but I always have really good first dates.
Yeah.
And they always seem to go really well. And I don't know whether I just get so nervous and I think, right, I'm just chatting along. And I always find after the second date, that's when things go terribly wrong. And something happens, or like there'll just be something you just don't feel was right. And yeah, it seems to fizzle out before anything else after that. But yeah.
So going back to the icks, we've kind of tangent onto your icks. So what can you do about a boyfriend giving an ick? Do you reckon she's just got to like communicate, saying stop doing this or stop doing that, or just kind of? I suppose you said you have your boyfriend, you loved him, you just accepted him for being him. Maybe do you just have to accept the ick and move on with it? I
think so. I think you have to work out how serious the ick is. Like if it's something terrible that he's doing, like. I don't know.
Sitting on the sofa and looking unneat, something like that, and finish him straight away.
Like, oh, yeah, if it's something you just can't get over, like, if it's like, I don't know, he's like keeping his shoes on the bed, you think, you can probably get over that one. That's
what makes this is weird. But yeah. So what are you thinking? You thinking stay with him and power through or pie him off?
I think you've got to, at this point, if all we know is that they're boyfriend and girlfriend, so I think you've got to power through at this point. Okay, right. Power through. Joanne, she was called Joanne, wasn't she? Joanne. Right, so we're coming to the end of the podcast. 53 minutes, that's quite good. We need to actually go for food. I think we're going to be late for that. We booked food for 9 o'clock and it's 3 minutes past 9. But yeah, right, everyone, if you listen on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, comment below what your favourite part of the podcast is. If you've got any questions about business, Dubai, all that kind of stuff, message Alice. Listen on Spotify or Apple, make sure you follow me on there. And if you want to message me on Instagram, just message me on Instagram and reply to you. Thanks, Alice. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Right. I'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.